What is up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Welcome to Gamers at Large and Fresh Take. Mr. T, how you doing, man?
All right, fools, how you doing? Let's get it started.
All right, now this is going to be our fresh take on the Stranger Things season 1. Now, I know it came out in July. I was kind of sick at the time, so I really didn't get to watch it till recently. And I must say, we're going to give y'all our impressions of the good and the bad and where they're going in season 2. Where we think they should go in season 2 anyway. But this reminded me of so much of what I loved about the 80s as far as movies and TV was concerned. And I want to take this time to actually thank Fox for rejecting their pilot. Because God knows if Fox would have kept it, it would have been canceled within 2 episodes.
It would have been totally over.
And I would have been mad. Because I like this. I really like. So yes, thank you, Fox, for rejecting it. Thank you so much.
Among other studios, there's a few other studios in there, but this belonged on Netflix.
Yeah, this was Netflix. Thank you for doing this for me because now I don't have to deal with commercials, and I know I get the full season. I ain't got to worry about it getting canceled halfway through. So that being said, the whole thing plays around, especially the first season, is around a little boy's disappearance, which kind of plays out kind of like a creepy horror movie a little bit. And you don't really know what's happening when they do it, but his 4 friends try to look for him and everything. They're gonna find their buddy, and during the season they meet up with this special girl named 11, and they also meet Matthew Modine playing the best version of a jackass I've ever seen in my life. He was just evil for no reason.
He was just horrible. He was horrible.
I'm like, bro, is there a reason for you being like this? Did somebody not cook your eggs right? What the fuck wrong with you?
It says it in the script.
Yeah, it was in the script. That's why. So, looking like a broke Ted Danson. Anyway, it plays out like Goonies meets.
Come on, man, get it right, because I gotta.
You know what? I'm gonna let you handle that because I can't think of my other part.
Goonies is perfect. Goonies meets Stephen King's It. Big time.
I can give you that. Yeah, I can give you that.
The directors or the producers say, "Oh, I never saw Stephen King." You're lying.
Yeah,
you are lying. This was so. I felt like this was like a side story to Stephen King's It. It was so perfectly like homage to that. There's no way that anybody could say, "Oh no, I never saw that. I wasn't influenced by that at all." That's a lie.
Yeah, that is so much a lie.
I don't know why you lie about that because it's so good. Like both, and you nailed it so good. But go ahead and finish.
Yeah, they did a good job casting, acting. There's a couple people. One guy that I remember watching on Equalizer and what Denzel Washington to destroy him, but they did a very good job. And there's one guy who is on this series. If you are a fan of the Marvel Netflix stuff, he is there. Turk Barrett is playing a cop. The hustler from Hell's Kitchen is playing a cop in this series, and it is awesome. Because I'm like, dude, shouldn't you be selling guns out of the trunk? It's just so
he
weird.
Was the sheriff, right? Or
like,
was he
somebody upstanding?
Yeah,
it's so weird.
It was very weird, and I thought I was gonna hate him, and I ended up loving this character.
Yeah, I ended up loving him too. There is so much. I think most of the stuff that I like about it is actually due to nostalgia. Because we don't get that stuff anymore.
No,
we really don't. And I have to give it to them. They did a very good job of recreating like a lot of stuff from the 80s, like from like boom boxes, floor model stereos, floor model TVs.
Yeah. The opening alone, like if they would have put the opening in 4x3, just, ashied it up a little bit, it would have totally looked like something I saw from the 80s. Like it was like the synth music was perfect. Like my daughter, like because I would always mention, like when we watched it and it would come on, and I would, oh man, the font is like perfect 80s. And so she would start saying that every time we watched it. Say, Dad, the font 80s. and I would just crack up because I was so enamored by that. Like everything going to the title screen of the show was so 80s. It felt like, and this is what I try to tell young people, is like, kids shows and kids movies in the 80s would not be a kids movie today.
No, that'd be
dark. It was some dark stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys are really pampered because as kids, we were frightened from kids movies.
They did a good job scaring the hell out of us.
Yes.
In other words, parents took us there just so we could go to sleep at night.
Exactly. And then tell you, I'm going to get that monster that you saw in the movie to get you if you don't take your ass to sleep. And it works.
Act up at school.
Exactly.
Act up at school.
We're going to get Freddy Krueger on you. What? You saw Freddy Krueger? Yes, I saw Freddy Krueger when I was 10 years old. Like,
so we went through some stuff. Gremlins would not be.
It's not a kids movie today.
It's not a kids movie.
No, that's some dark, scary stuff.
I mean, it was what the first one was PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13.
Yeah,
get out of here. That's an R movie.
It's NC-17 now.
Oh yeah.
The way they rate stuff now. So yeah, it's so much of that, and I have to. There's another thing that I have to give.
Everything was authentic, like the clothing.
Yeah,
just the look of it was very, very 80s, and I was just smiling the whole episode, every episode, like how authentic it felt and looked.
And we have to talk about the effects, the way they used practicals.
Oh, the practical effects.
There's a little bit of CG toward the end because they have to. Yeah. But the majority of it is practical effects, and they do a good job. I don't know who the makeup artist is on it, but they deserve a raise.
Oh boy, it was so well done. Like
how they did like the alternate world.
You remind me of stuff that you would think Guillermo del Toro would do, because he's all about like practical animatronics and all that kind of stuff,
and creature effects.
He would. It seems like something he would be totally, capable of doing. And I think whoever put this together, the creature effects and the visual effects artists and all those special effects guys, you can't tell me you weren't influenced by Del Toro or somebody like that.
Oh, they looked at Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth all day. Pan's Labyrinth is up in this movie or up in this show all day. So yeah.
I would give the Duffer Brothers this. They did a good job of staying true to the 80s, but also adding like a lot of stuff that we've seen over the past few years, as far as like practical effects, particle effects, the way they made like because they go to this alternate world, this parallel world called the Upside Down.
The Upside Down.
And they made
even calling it the Upside Down. So 80s to me. Like that's just any other era it'd be like, oh, the parallel world or something corny mess.
Weird.
The Upside Down, because that's how a kid would say it in the 80s.
Basically,
so much detail, man. So much detail in this show.
And it's only 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's short.
That's the other thing. You think this is a 13 episode? No, it's 8. It is 8, and they get the whole story done in 8. I mean, they do a very, very good job. Like I said, from music to acting to visuals, it was done superbly, in my opinion. Anything else you want to add about the good stuff?
Let me see. I know. The cast.
Oh,
I mean, we didn't really get into, but the cast is like, these are some talented folks.
Yeah,
like especially the kids. It was so perfect. Like my wife would talk about how talented those kids were. Like, I mean, it's not easy to get kid actors that you believe. Like because they it's hard as a kid actor to really pull that stuff off. And these kids were so like I was completely in that world. Like again, back to Stephen King's It. That's what made that movie so good, was that the young actors, the young talent were so good. Like you just totally believed them from day, from their first words. You believed that they were in that world. because I mean they were just so perfectly cast. These are some talented kids, man, and it's so good to see that because you don't really see that much anymore. You know, you have cheesy stuff on Nickelodeon and, you know, those movies and whatnot. They serve their purpose, it's fine, but to have like really talented young actors like this, you had an abundance of that back in those days, you know, 80s and 90s. You don't really see it that much anymore, and it was really good to see like young actors that were just so believable, believed in their characters. They were their characters in those roles, and I totally thought I was thinking Stephen King's It. Like that was the kids, like their friendship and how they interacted with each other. The chemistry was so perfect, and that was the same thing in this show. That's what made it so good. Like people, you know, overlook that a lot today. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna make this really cool thing with visuals. You got to get the visuals right, but they don't think about the talent. Like the what did I say? The chemistry between characters is so important for you to believe what you're watching, and they nailed it with these kids, man.
And it's also a good idea to actually have kids around the age instead of getting a 30-year-old try to pretend like.
Yeah, oh my god! Seriously,
dude has facial hair. He's not 10 years old.
He has a 5 o'clock shadow. It's playing 13. Come on.
That being said, who would be your favorite character out of the whole series?
Favorite character?
Yeah, you can have one or two. I'll give you two.
That is, and I'm so terrible with names. Like, and I haven't seen the show. I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. It's been a few months since I've finished it. But definitely, I hate to say it this way, but that's what I'll do. The black kid.
Yeah.
What was his name? I can't remember his name right now.
Lucas.
Yeah. He was awesome. And the kid that had the lisp thing.
Dustin.
Chubby kid. Yes. He was amazing. Like, and it wasn't, he didn't have that lisp for the show or he actually has that in real life.
Yeah, he does. Like, you hear him talk. That's
talk. The kid can sing his ass off.
Yeah, but
I don't know if you heard him sing. Like, he's talented as hell.
Yeah.
And I got teary-eyed when I saw that little YouTube thing I think he did. He was singing some song.
It was him.
Somewhere I would have brought you flowers. Was it that song?
Yeah, that one. Because the other song he did, it was him and Lucas. The kid that played Lucas, and the girl that played 11.
Yeah, like my kids walk around the house singing that song all the time because of that show. Like, and then they saw the little clip, and they're in love with it now. But like, the kid is talented as hell. Those are my two favorites. The main kid that what's the girl's name that they find in the I don't want to give away any spoilers. 11. Elle. I liked his relationship with Elle. He annoyed me a little bit outside of that, but I mean, he served his purpose. Like he was kind of a punk.
Was wide open.
But that's the thing, though. That was the role he was playing. So so he played that well. So 2.5. I have to give it to 3. If I can. Those were all perfectly cast.
Okay, all right. Like you, I did like Lucas and Dustin. I'm sorry, dude. I want to see a buddy cop movie with them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. they were awesome together.
Was it Cop and a Half?
Yeah. But there was one I like the kid, the kid that disappears, his brother Jonathan. Mm-hmm. He grew on me as the season went on.
Yeah, I hated him
at first because
I was like, dude, it's your brother and you're just being a little biatch. It's like you don't seem to care. He totally grows on you though.
Yeah, because there's one scene in there where there's another kid at his high school that's that's being a little punk, and he pushes trigger words, and he shames a girl that he kind of likes, and he hauls off and whoops his ass.
Whoops, and like bad.
Like it was cops had to come get him off of him.
Seriously, he went total, into another realm. Like forgot where he was, whipping his ass. It was just like, whoa, get him off.
And it was because his brother, like dude. So you come to find out, not only does he care about his brother, you don't talk about his brother.
You don't talk about his brother.
You don't talk about his brother. You don't talk about his mama.
And that was so good. It was such a nice surprise. after like being a little bit annoyed with him and how he's treating his mom, and it was kind of his fault because he wasn't paying attention to his brother. You know, he even disappeared in the first place. But so you kind of didn't like him for that, yeah. And it's just like, you little bitch, you were the reason he disappeared in the first place, and now you're like getting on your mom because she's wigging out about it. And come on, but again, that was what you were supposed to feel. You weren't annoyed by him because he was bad at what he was doing. It was because he was so good at what he was doing that you were supposed to be annoyed with him. And he makes you love him. He makes you find redemption in him, and that's a good character.
Especially when old girl gets shamed, and
that
because like first of all, there was no cause for what they did.
No,
it was no cause for what they did, and you could kind of tell he kind of had a little thing for her or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And you could kind of tell she was
kind of think for him a little bit too.
Yeah, she was just lying to herself about it.
Right.
But when he hauled off and just like tore off him, like, yeah, dude, yeah, bro, you. And then at the end when they do the climactic fight, and he's basically like, okay, where my brother at?
He was a boss. He was like, he was fearless.
Yeah, he was like, okay, all right. I might not be able to shoot, but I can take this back to you.
Exactly. I'll swing away like, this is Lucille, and
So
I'm Negan up in this bitch.
But yeah, that I love that. Now to some of the things that I did not like. Okay. Matthew Modine.
Matthew Modine.
He was not developed at his
at
all.
He should have. Yes. Yeah, he did. That did annoy me. I was like, okay, he's the villain.
Obviously.
And by the time you come, to that and really start hating him, he's out of there. See, it's like, what? Wait. I was just starting to dislike him a lot.
They don't tell you nothing.
They tell you nothing about him.
He comes in. He's the head of the lab.
Mm-hmm.
It's rumored that he had issues with other government agencies, but it seemed to me like they were working for him. That's neither here nor there. And then when they finally do spin an episode with him, he gets done in.
Oh yeah.
So you're like, okay,
spend too much time with you, you're probably gonna be on your way out.
Yeah.
Unless you're like one of the main people.
Yeah, and it was him and his little assassin fake Black Widow.
Yeah, what was that? That was weird.
I was like, is she KGB or something?
Right, like
the hell is your story? And of course, you don't. Every time you saw her, you're like, please don't kill this.
You're like scared that she's gonna murder somebody.
Yeah,
or you like.
Because there's a time when she meets the kids, I'm like, please don't kill these kids. These kids ain't do nothing to you.
It's like he was just trying to help the little girl, and you gonna murder the man? That's
I'm like, cool. In the head.
Yeah, just cold.
I'm like, was that even necessary or called for?
Not cool.
There was one other person, and I usually love her as an actress, but I don't know if it was just the way it was written, but Winona Ryder got on my damn nerves.
See, I knew you were gonna say that, and I'm sorry, totally understand why you would feel that way. But I'm just goo-goo-eyed for her. I love Winona Ryder. So.
I usually love her stuff. I'm like, but damn, I guess it's just me because there's a certain point where okay, I understand that this character is going through this traumatic experience, but we're 4 episodes in. This ain't number 8 episodes.
But you know, I'm gonna tell you what redeems her to me. Like I was starting to get annoyed with her, but when you meet Ellie's mom, and you're like, oh, so that's what happened to her. And you're like, oh well, that's where Winona Ryder's heading if she don't get her shit together. And then you're like, now I understand it. To me, that's what happened for me. Maybe everybody didn't feel that way, but I think they were trying to let you know that this is where she could go if she don't get her damn son back.
Well, yeah, it was just, I guess because I felt like from a writing standpoint, they drug it out too long.
Maybe it went on a little bit long. Again, like I said, I'm goo for Winona Ryder, so my wife hates that. Like, my wife recognizes that I have a thing for pixie girls, or I had a thing, and my wife's a really girly girl, and she's like, "What happened? How did you pick me when you like into all these like short-haired pixie chicks?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a thing, you know. That's one of those things.
It was a phase I went through.
Right, it's a phase, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, like, so maybe I give her a little bit more of a pass because of that. But I mean, I liked her. I thought she was.
I mean, she did a good job. Like I said, I understand like the what they were trying to go for with the whole like, okay, this woman's just lost her son. They think she's crazy. All this, I understand that. It's just one of those situations where, okay, we got 8 episodes. Why is she still acting like this 6 episodes in?
Right.
You know, we only got 2 more episodes, and she's finally calming the hell down.
Right. I just know. This is how I took it. Everybody else, you know, doesn't see what she sees. Yeah. And I think that would drive me freaking nuts too. This is what's going on. Why aren't you guys on my page? You know, like, I'm trying to tell you what's happening, and you know, to the average person, and they hear that stuff. It's like, really, the lights are talking to you? Come on, lady. You know, it's like, you're nuts.
I will say this though, they did a good job of making it like nobody was ever at home,
right,
when that stuff happened. So you know, like Will in that other world was on the run hiding,
right. That again is another 80s trope. Like, I used to be driven stir crazy from 80s TV shows and movies because they would do that stuff. And you're like, I want somebody to see this. Why is he the only person seeing this? And you would go nuts over that. But that was kind of like a thing that happened in a lot of TV shows and movies. Is that only one person did it, only one person saw what everybody should be seeing, and it just kind of drove you crazy. Like, why are you guys seeing this? But that was like a theme for like 80s type of, you know, horror and, you know, genre stuff. So
yeah, especially the thrillers, especially
thrillers. You would be driven stir crazy up until like the last 20 minutes of the movie or the show.
And then you figure it out.
Thank God. Everybody else can see this now. This poor lady has been telling you the whole damn movie. Yeah. Nobody's listening.
Now, I will say this. I do kind of feel, because I did see the tweets on the whole Barb situation. Natalie's friend, that's the main girl. Barb. That's the main kid, one of the main kids, his sister. That's her best friend. Yeah, people, if you think she's alive, I'm sorry. She's dead.
She's gone. She's gone.
They ain't no saving her.
She ain't been running around hiding.
Yeah,
she was in the lair. Like, she's gone.
She's
not gone. She's some kind of weird monster.
And I don't think that's gonna happen because she's too dead.
Yeah, it's probably not gonna happen. So,
I mean, I did kind of like Barb a little bit.
I really like Barb, and I felt I hate to keep saying this, but that is another really 80s thing.
Oh yeah, they killed the person you like.
They killed that person that you could relate to. So I relate to that person. They are out of there. They're gone. So I remember that from like, I can't remember which one it was, but it was one of the Friday the 13th movies. And there was a character like her. You really liked her. She wasn't, quote unquote fornicating. You know, all the kids that fornicate die in those movies. In
the movies they die, but in the TV show they live.
Right. Fornicating or like, you know, drinking and doing drugs or whatever, you're out of there. But in TV shows, that didn't happen. She was the one girl that was just clean, didn't do anything, was a nice person, and bye. She's out of there in a really horrible way, and you just feel so bad for her. But again, authentic 80s, that's an authentic 80s trope. Yeah. And they scored so well with that. Like, and I like her. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. The thing about it, I think it was good in that it made Natalie see that it was partially her fault.
Yeah, it was kind of,
because
still felt sorry for her, even though it was partially her fault.
Yeah, because I'm like, she said that she wanted her to make sure that she didn't do anything.
Right.
And what happens when she get over there? She starts drinking. Mm-hmm. She want to get it in. She want
to be cool.
Yeah, and she tells her to go home, but she was like, "No, you told me to bring you home."
Mm.
Yeah. So it's technically her fault.
Technically, but you still feel really, really bad for her.
Yeah.
Because she was kind of coerced in, not being what she usually is.
Yeah.
Oh, and I wanted to say before I forget that this is also in Stephen King's It, a bicycle scene, but I totally thought of like E.T. on this one scene.
Dude, that was E.T.
It was E.T., right?
That was E.T.
Basically, the Men in Black FBI agents, whatever you want to call them, were chasing these kids on bikes, and I thought for sure that
they're gonna start levitating.
Yeah, Elle was gonna levitate them over the moon. I thought I was gonna see that Amblin, screen, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is getting really close."
It's Steven Spielberg with a suit.
Steven Spielberg is got his lawsuit drawn up right now because it was so close to like that scene from E.T. I was like, "Whoa!"
But they did something equally as cool though.
It was so cool, yes.
Yeah, so it's one of the things like towards the end, when they meet back up with Elle and everybody's gotten their issues out the way, Elle just basically starts tapping into her powers because she finally has friends.
Yeah,
friends now. And when she taps in, she goes like she turns into Wolverine, dude. The look that she gets on her face. That look.
She turned beast mode. I was like, "Uh-oh, you guys are in trouble."
I'm like, damn, man. 20th Century Fox, do y'all need another X-23?
She was E.T., but she was E.T. meets like what's those critters?
Yeah, critters meets.
She was not a good alien. Right. It was not good for certain people. She went to that mode, but it was so good to see. You were so angry at these dudes, so pissed off them. By the time you get to that scene, it's like, yes,
because you want it to happen to them too. You especially if you don't like bullies.
Yeah,
if you have an issue with bullies, you gonna love what she does.
Oh, you gonna love it. You gonna love it. It's such a nice payoff.
Yeah,
perfectly timed and everything.
And yes, they deserved it. And yes, I laughed from a good, healthy place.
They deserve to die, and I hope they burn in hell.
Basically,
as Samuel Jackson would say.
Yeah. So I would tell anybody, because like I said, it's only 8 episodes. You can binge watch this in no time.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it, especially if you are a fan of like 80s TV and 80s cinema. You will find there's something you will find that you will like.
Yeah, and if you haven't, I would always implore you, if you haven't seen the movies that basically are homages, show homages, like if you haven't seen E.T., I say watch E.T. first.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Goonies, watch Goonies first, and definitely watch Stephen King's It.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Stephen King's It, like you're going to be entertained, you're going to love it. If you're into thrillers and horror and stuff, it is still good. I saw it the other day. It is still very compelling. The practical effects are perfect still. And this show takes quite a bit as far as the relationship between the kids and stuff. It takes quite a bit from that relationship and puts it into the show from Stephen King's It. Like, I love Stephen King's It. Watch Stephen King.
One the executive producer on this.
Seriously, I was looking for his name. I'm like, he's got to be in this somewhere. But what I should do is probably go back and look and see if any of the other people from the producing were on that. Yeah, because it felt so much like watching it again. It really did. And like, please, if you don't even watch the show, please watch Stephen King's It. Especially if you're planning on watching the new movie that comes out, because I'm sure it's gonna suck.
Oh yeah, it's gonna suck.
It's gonna completely not.
They're gonna CGI everything.
Yeah, it's gonna be whack.
Yeah.
Please watch the original. It still holds up big time. Please watch it before you watch that new one, especially.
A matter of fact, I would think because like there are a couple other movies, a couple of 80s movies I was thinking that you could probably watch as a primer.
The game?
Monster Squad.
Oh, Monster Squad, yes.
Yeah, you can watch that. The reason why I say Monster Squad is because they do. It's kind of like the kids, having the band together, and you would get an idea of that. with this.
There was a lot of that in the 80s.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Standing together and the adults not paying attention and the kids knowing what's going on.
Yeah, it wasn't like the parents, like they were smarter than the parents. The parents just didn't.
They just didn't give a shit. Yeah, they just were like in their own world.
Yeah,
and that happened a lot in the 80s movies and TV shows. I was talking about. Have you seen the movie The Gate?
Yes.
Yes. Watch The Gate too.
Yeah.
Like
that's another good one.
Stephen Dorff, if you guys know Stephen Dorff from
Blade.
He was the villain. What's his name? Frost.
Yeah,
Deacon Frost. He was Deacon Frost. And I think this is the first movie he was in. He was a kid. It's called The Gate, and it is excellent. And it's perfect 80s movie, perfect 80s horror. This is a kids movie again. This is a kids movie.
I mean, hell, Nightmare on Elm Street was technically a kids movie.
Technically, it was. Yeah, it was a young, 13, 14.
Yeah.
That's not really would fly today.
How did we survive the 80s? Dude?
I don't know. I think it made it tougher. It made us tougher, though. I think
it really did because
we could deal with stuff that these kids today couldn't deal with.
Yeah, we could deal with entirely too much stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot. Dude, a kids movie was The Dark Crystal. That's some dark.
It's in its title.
Labyrinth.
All
those Jim Henson movies were scary stuff.
Yeah, Willow. That's some dark stuff, man. Yeah, so that's a kids movie. Yeah, all of this today was kids.
Yeah. Kids were a little tougher in the 80s.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing we was worried about was getting our school clothes dirty.
Right. You better take them damn school clothes off when you come home.
Let me get you out there in your school clothes.
We had school clothes. We didn't get to come home and just run around and do whatever and fall asleep and our clothes went to school in like y'all do today.
Nope. But take them clothes off when you walk in that door.
Are you eating right now? You better take them clothes off.
But like I said, this is something you really do need to watch.
Please, I implore. Everything we reference, please go watch.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of thrillers, if you're a fan of horror, you will love these movies and TV shows. So please. Yeah.
So before we get out of here, T, what do you think they can go season 2? And before anybody in the comments asks, Barb is off the table. She's dead.
No Barb. Right? She's gone.
Yeah.
Just they go Barb. It needed not to do that. Don't do that. Yeah. That is a really good question because so much stuff was kind of resolved by the end. I mean, I guess they can go into another realm or something. They can go that route. Elle is, I don't want to, no spoilers, so I don't want to go there. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities.
Well, one thing I think that I would actually like to see is because at the end there's something that happens to Will when they save him. And I want to see the backlash of that.
Right, there's going to be a resolution for that because something's going on with him. So obviously, I mean that's going to happen. That's why I didn't even mention it because it's like, okay, that's definitely going to be a part of the season.
I would actually like to see if there's more kids like Elle because from the one other thing that they did talk about was that wasn't the first time.
Yeah, she was Elle because her name is 11. So there was 10 other kids before her,
and all of them didn't die.
Right. So we're probably going to find out what's going on with at least, some of them. Yeah.
And personally, because I did read on Screen Rant, you can check this out on Screen Rant because it's not a spoiler at this point, but the way they're setting this up is it takes place a year later. All the stuff that happens now takes place a year later. So we don't know if they're going back to the Upside Down or what, but
that's another 80s thing. It's like, all right, everything resolves itself at the end. But boom, sorry, something's still not right.
Yeah, and there's a couple of questions they have.
We didn't get happy endings in the 80s movies, really.
We didn't. Especially when there was money to be had.
Yeah, when there's thrillers and horror movies, there's no happy endings.
No. No. You lucky if somebody didn't die in the very last frame.
Exactly. I'm remembering like Nightmare on Elm Street when you think, oh, they got him, they took care of him, and
the hand comes up.
Oh, the freaking Freddy, what is it called? The convertible top comes over and it's like Freddy's pattern from his shirt, and then she snatches the mom through that little hole, and it's just like, what the? I was they set you up too because they play this nice warm music and they have birds chirping. Literally, there's like birds chirping and there's like a nice it's everything safe music, and then all of a sudden your mom getting snatched through a keyhole and you getting driven off in a Freddy car. And it's like, what?
And that's how it ends.
Yeah, that's the ending. Bye. Get out of the theater. Have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, have fun tonight. But the lights home.
Oh my goodness.
But, yeah, I would like to see that. I'd hopefully like to see like the see how the crew is doing.
Mm.
You know,
yeah, where they are.
This time they do better in their dealings with bullies.
Mm. Okay, let me ask you this question. During that, there's a conflict between the kids towards the later episodes. And were you feeling the way I was feeling about the poor little black kid? Your time is running short there, bro.
Yeah.
Like you could feel it. Like, oh no, why you got to start arguing with people, man?
Because the funny thing about it is, he was the most sane one.
He was the most sane one, yeah.
Like he was the one that was actually making sense.
But in the 80s, that's who was out of there.
Yeah,
the most sane person.
Yeah. And it was usually, I'm sorry I had to say this, but this was the truth, man. You know this. Most 80s stuff, if the movie or the show was good, it was because a black person died in the first round.
That black person is out of there. And you just sitting back waiting for the black kid to die. Where he gonna die, man?
No, if the black person did die, the show or the movie usually sucked.
I forgot what I was watching. It was a horror movie or some kind of parody thing, and then maybe maybe I was gonna say maybe that was like South Park or something where you expected Kenny to die and then like the episode ends and he just goes woo because he knew he didn't die. That's how the brothers are in a horror movie.
Basically,
it's like you make it to the end frame, the last frame, they're excited.
and there was a couple times in there because he was the one Lucas was the one that. He's the one that actually first nutted up because he was like, "I'm gonna go get Will. You obviously in love."
Yeah, he was the guy with the plan. He was
like, "You obviously in love. I'm gonna take this slingshot that ain't gonna work, and I'm going to get my buddy."
Slingshot thing. That's another thing from right out of Stephen King's head.
Yep,
like, so, perfect.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Yeah, bro, you don't need to argue with nobody." But that's one thing I kind of don't want to see in the second one. I don't want to see them like tighter as friends where we don't have this problem. We already know old boy got a thing for Elle.
Yeah.
We're past that now. So
they can find a new conflict.
Yeah.
You know?
And don't let it be with each other.
Authentic. It can't be just like, forced.
Yeah. Let's not let it be with each other. Let's let them have something where they can, parry off each other. Because another dude I liked was a side character, but that was the science teacher.
Mm. Oh, I almost forgot. This is not an 80s movie, but it felt like it if you watched it. There's a movie, it's Swedish. They made an American version of it, which was garbage. It's a Swedish vampire movie called Let the Right One In.
Oh, the one with Chloe Grace Moretz with it was
right. They made an American version called Let Me In or some corny mess.
Yeah, some bull crap.
Watch the original one. Elle totally felt like the vampire chick from Let the Right One In. Because what your boy was, he was really protective of her.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of the American version, but in the original Swedish version, he was really protective of this girl who was a vampire, and he had this problem with bullies at school, and she murks their ass. and Elle totally does something similar to that in the show, and I was like, wow, all these really good influences on this show. It was really cool to see. And
they made it where it worked and not felt overly done.
It wasn't like overly done. It wasn't like film school I just graduated from film school. I learned all these techniques and it was just like, I'm going to homage everything. And it's really corny. They understood the material they were dealing with. And it was really well done. The homages to where it wasn't overbearing and stupid.
Yeah, basically. So that's and I think I got to give Netflix this because I think like when creators are allowed to put their stuff on Netflix, they can make it tighter. They don't have to put in filler. Like let's just say for some reason Fox decided to go, they optioned it and went with it. We would have had to get like a full 13 episodes, maybe get a full season down to 22, and then we'd have to deal with filler episodes.
22 episodes. That would have killed this show.
Yeah. So I think how Netflix does it is perfect because it only needed to be 8 episodes. Nothing felt like filler.
If it was 8 episodes, 8, 9 episodes, that's perfect for this type of show.
Yeah, because nothing was filler. It was a tight season.
Very tight.
Yeah, and I for one enjoyed that.
No corny, like trying to build up some pointless relationship that doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. It was all tight.
Everything made sense. Even the stuff that happens with between Natalie and Jonathan at the end, it makes sense. And because we all know season 2, we know what's gonna happen between them.
Yeah, we know what's going down. You make it think low, it's not happening. It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. Somebody get some coffee out of it.
Hot coffee.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's one of them situations where I like how they did. I liked that resolution. I really did. I liked how they did it because once again, it was tight. It was to the point, and nothing felt like it was wasted. Nothing felt like it was just fluff. So I am amped up.
And that relationship, again, that relationship is very prototypical of, relationships you would see in 80s movies and like teen movies from the 80s. Their relationship was very much pulled out of stuff like that. Yeah. And it was so believable because of that.
Very believable. So I'm personally looking forward to season 2.
Great show.
Great show. Great show, great cast, great actors. So I'm personally looking forward to it. Hopefully we get to see more of the other kids that was in that experiment, and maybe get to see some more crazy monsters or whatever. But
to me, it's almost creepy to me. I mean, the show is creepy as hell, by the way. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it's almost creepy to me how close it felt like. I could totally have turned this on in the 80s. And it would have been perfect. Like, it's creepy to me how well done as far as authenticity, 80s authenticity, because it's set in the 80s. It's not just,
It's 83, I think.
Yeah, it's set in like 83. So it's not just paying homage to the 80s. It is a show set in the 80s and perfectly authentic. Like, that was the main reason it works so well for me. You see stuff that comes out and they're dressed in 80s clothes and their hairdos are a little 80s, but they don't feel like it, And this totally felt like something, I would have watched in the 80s as a kid. Yeah. And that's why it works so well.
Let me ask you this, because you are a parent. Now, there are a couple of things. Was there anything that you felt like, a kid couldn't watch in here?
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was totally watching this, most of this with my kids, and I don't know, maybe it was my daughter. I can't remember if it was my daughter or not, but maybe it was my son. He's a little bit more scary. He saw something, and he was just like, "Can you guys turn this off? It's scaring me." Like, he's 6, and that's when I knew he couldn't. This is a little bit beyond him. It is probably too much for a kid that young. You don't realize it because, like I said, we saw this when we were kids. Yeah, we saw this type of stuff when we were kids, and it didn't bother us. But he hasn't really seen anything like that as far as kids movies or kids shows. Gotcha. Okay. And he was definitely creeped out to the point where he wanted to sleep in our bed that night, and I felt horrible. But I just didn't realize it, as a parent who was a kid in the 80s who saw this stuff all the time.
You saw worse than that.
Right. Saw worse than that. And it wasn't like I was just watching stuff above my age. I was watching stuff that was supposed to be for my age. Yeah. It was creeping me the hell out. But it was too much for him. And I was like, wow, it is a different world. And we had to stop it because he couldn't deal with it. And we watched, me and my wife finished it, that part or whatever, that episode, and then he came back after that and he was fine, but it got a little too creepy for him.
Okay. And, I will say this, it is TV 14. If anybody wants to know the rating of it is TV 14, but I found like there were a couple of possible jump scares. I didn't jump or anything like that, but there are a couple of things, especially when you actually start seeing, because they do a good job of not even showing you the creature close to the end. So because it's kind of like a mystery.
It works really well that way.
Yeah, they did like a mystery around it. So when they actually finally show them, I can understand how that could possibly mess with some kids. But like I said, overall, I felt like
they were scared before that. They were scared by just the hint of the creature. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like before we even got to the actual reveal of the creature, they were so creeped out by just kind of the atmosphere.
Yeah, and because they do show that. I forgot they do show that.
Yeah,
yeah, they do a good job with that, with the setup into it. That's the whole thriller part. They do a good job with the setup. So you might want to, if you're a parent, you might want to, monitor that.
Yeah, you might want to, make sure they're not freaked out.
Yeah. But other than that, though, and I only want to say something like maybe 2-3 scenes like that.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, because they were fine. Like I said, they were fine after this specific scene. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but they were fine after that. With the rest of the show, but there's definitely some scenes in there. They didn't watch the entire show with us too, so they obviously saw one of those scenes you're talking about, and it totally creeped them out. So,
but yeah, like I said, other than that, it's really not a bad show.
Yeah, no,
I would say it's not a bad show.
Yeah, most kids can watch it. Yeah. Most of it, I'd say 95% of it, they'd be fine with. But there's definitely some scenes where it's just like, oh boy, and it's not like gore or anything. It's just that the atmosphere is very creepy.
Yeah, they do a very good job of doing that.
Yeah,
of the setup to it. So yeah, just be advised of that. So that's pretty much all we got, people. Hope you guys enjoyed it. From now on, Fresh Take will be here, so we'll be doing all our fresh takes from the Gamers at Large channel. Hope you guys enjoy. And T, you got anything you want to pimp out?
I think I'm gonna drop another N64 collection video soon, maybe tomorrow, or I don't know when it'll be when you see this, but just be looking out for that and a couple other things.
Okay, all right, and I will probably be doing some more gameplay stuff. I've been fooling around with a couple games, so I'll probably put some stuff up hopefully later on this weekend. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you guys on our next vid. Peace out.
Peace.